Cornie, not all of the Western Canadian wheat grower members are going to know Adama as well as perhaps some of the other crop input companies in Canada. Could you explain a little bit more about your organization and team?
I'll break it into a couple of portions. One is just around the R&D aspects of it and bringing new innovation to Canadian farmers. And that does start from our global headquarters in Israel, where we have a fantastic research and development team that is particularly good at formulation type innovations. And they're very responsive to what we bring to them as saying these are Canadian farmer needs. And they're very happy to work on that. So we have a great interaction there and do things like, hey, Canadian farmers are going to be using hard water. So we got to make sure the formulation works well in those kind of conditions. Hey, this product gets sprayed when it's pretty cool out there. So let's make sure the formulation is optimized for that environment. And then as they develop those products, we have in-country R&D staff, and we actually do hundreds of acres of trials across Canada in many different crops, fruit and vegetable crops, cereals, canola. That's been a pretty extensive effort that we've built up over the last few years. And it's something that is really starting to contribute to our overall business. Part of that has needed that we needed to have in-country regulatory people because all these products need to be registered. And that's an area that we've built up a staff here in Canada as well. And then maybe on that last piece is our commercial organization. And we're headquartered in downtown Winnipeg, actually just at Portage in Maine. So a little cliche on that side, but it works for us. And we've been scaling up our field sales staff to support our distributors and our retailers. Our commercial approach is really focused on partnership with retail and distribution. That doesn't mean we don't try to interact with farmers. But we really do value the role of full service retail in this industry. We think they're particularly well suited to kind of explain the type of innovation that we bring to farmers. And we think they're also really good stewards of our product. And I think that's going to be increasingly important for us as we get more and more regulatory scrutiny, just to be able to say, hey, we've got trained agronomists that are touching the product as it's leaving to go to that farmer. So there's a good conversation about, is this product needed? And is this the right product for that application? You know, Adama isn't a small company anymore globally. We've crossed the 4 billion mark in sales. And, you know, that's purely on crop protection. And most of our competitors are, you know, probably focused on driving growth with seed or biotech or digital platforms. And those are great innovations. We need investment and focus on that. But it became clear to me even a number of years ago, trying to help come up with agronomic recommendations to help counter herbicide resistance in the case. And thinking back to, well, so what do we have that could help, you know, resolve this agronomic concern? And it really opened my eyes to, wow, we're going to have to innovate with a lot of older AIs in order to meet the challenges of tomorrow. I learned about the fact that Adama is doing a lot of research and development. It's just a different kind of research and development. So the focus is not so much on inventing new active ingredients. The focus is on how do we get more out of the active ingredients that are out there in the marketplace for us now. And so that's improved formulations. That's creating unique mixtures that solve problems in a different way. And those are areas that are very tangible. And because we're working with active ingredients that have already been regulatory approved, the speed to market is quite quick.
So you mentioned earlier, you indicated you're not really in the digital space, but there's some of that going on, at least at the global level. Is that relevant for the Canadian market at all?
It is, in fact. And yeah, I don't mean to dismiss the opportunities in digital. From my perspective, I always like to take it as, you know, what's the practical question we're trying to answer? And one of the things that our ag tech area that we're focusing on is answering some simple questions. And one of the ones is, should I spray or not? You know, that's still an important question that matters for things, especially like fungicides. So we have partnered with some global research firms to help develop models. And we've been testing them for a couple of years now in Canada to just refine the algorithm so that we can help answer that question of will I get a good ROI if I spray a fungicide or if I spray an insecticide? And we are at that point now where we are bringing some actives to Canada that we've been selling in other world areas, but those actives have never been sold in Canada. And some of them have pretty significant performance or environmental benefits. And the need for those has been partly stimulated by restrictions of the existing tools from PMRA, and partly it's just been the evolution of the agronomic needs in a number of sectors. We think a lot of those advancements that we've made in Europe in bringing new tools or refurbishing older tools is something that's going to be a lot of value to Canadian farmers as well.
All organizations, I think, see as a challenge. The regulatory challenges can actually become an opportunity for a global organization like Adama.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, and I think we generally respect the direction that PMRA is trying to take the industry in. You know, they do want to see agriculture still remain productive, but they do want to see it advance and you know, see if you can produce more with less and have less of an environmental impact along the way. So we certainly appreciate that, and we take that up as a challenge to say, you know, can we find a way to bring a better solution? It shouldn't necessarily need to be a very simplistic, is this active ingredient good or bad? One tangible example is an insecticide formulation that we sell in Canada now. We've actually developed a much more environmentally friendly version of it that we're going to launch in Canada here this next year. And it was driven by some tougher restrictions on nut producers in California, where the government required them to reduce the exposure to applicators. And we were able to come up with a formulation improvement to address that need. And we think that that formulation has benefits here in Canada as well. So we're going to be bringing it to market here this next year.